Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel.
How y'all doing?
Today we're going to be making some lemon blueberry sweet rolls.
These are so delicious, y'all.
And soft and fluffy. Look at them. Look it. Alright, so with that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll get started with the recipe.
So we're gonna go ahead and go over the ingredients for our lemon blueberry sweet rolls. All right, so to start, we have some kosher salt. We also have some 2% milk, unsalted butter, cream cheese. We have some active dry yeast. We're going to be using these lemons for zesting and juicing. Blueberries, of course. We have an egg, some flour, some sugar, and we have confectioner sugar. And as always, the exact measurements of the ingredients will be below the video in the description. All right, y'all, let's get started.
Okay, so we'll begin by blooming our yeast. I'm just measuring out my milk, and I'm going to heat it up. Make sure it's warm, like really warm. After I do that, we're going to mix everything together. I'm going to let it sit and foam up. I let ours sit for about 8 minutes.
And now if you notice, now this recipe, it's we have another recipe we did, our garlic nuts, and they the yeast process was the same, but the ingredients are a little bit different with this one. We use milk along with the yeast and sugar for this recipe, but the other recipe we use water and sugar with our yeast. So that's a huge difference in the recipe. So you can go and check that video out, and you can see that process as well.
Yes.
Now this recipe, I just like to say it's a good one. I love the fact that it's if you're a person that loves sweet dessert or something to have that's not overly sweet, this is a perfect recipe because you can control the sweetness of the roll because of the glaze. The roll itself is not overly sweet. It is sweet, but when you add the glaze, it adds more sweetness. So if you want it very sweet, you just add more glaze on top. You can omit the glaze altogether if you want. They're still delicious.
Yeah.
So I love the versatility of this recipe because you can use it for as an after dinner dessert. You can have it in the morning with a cup of coffee or just a snack, and it's just a great recipe.
Yeah.
And I also like that you can like size it when you're cutting them. When you're cutting your rolls, you can cut them smaller if you want to control your portion size more precisely. You can do that, just cut them smaller, or you can cut them larger. It's just a nice recipe, and that's what I love about making your own recipes at home. You can control so much more, and you know exactly what goes in them.
Yeah, I remember you saying, she's like, I ain't never buying nothing else ever again. You can make it.
Right, you can make
so
it.
Good. So I'm just starting on our dough. I put together some sugar, lemon zest, lemon juice. That was the yeast mixture, and an egg. And if you notice, I'm using the beaters for the hand mixer, for the attachment for the hand mixer. And I'll switch to the dough hook soon, but I just wanted to get this mixture started first. And then we'll incorporate the flour, and then we'll add the dough hooks a little bit later. So it's a little bit of a different process from the garlic knots that my mom was mentioning.
Yeah, with the garlic knots, we started out with the dough hooks right away, which you can do with this. We just tried to switch it up a little bit to see the process a little bit different.
Yeah, make sure you don't use your beaters though too long, because it will kind of like chop up the dough. I mean, you could glue it back together, kind of, I guess you could say. But,
yeah, get you some Elmer's glue. No, we just kidding.
Don't do that.
No, you mentioned using glue. Don't do that. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So you can see the dough is kind of chopped up a little bit, but the dough hooks kind of help, put it back together. You can do that with your hands later, of course, which you'll see me doing in a second. But I use a spatula to kind of make it into somewhat of a ball, so I could get it out and knead it. So this dough is not completely different, but it is different from the dough that we made in our previous video. So.
It's still a great recipe though. I like the differences in the dough, and they're both still really soft.
Yeah,
definitely a different texture, but in the end the results are great, and they give you exactly what you're looking for, because the garlic knots is a different kind of softness. It's really cool.
And I use the same test, touch it, see if it transfers to my finger. It's basically none on my finger.
Right.
But if it is, just add a little bit more flour, maybe a tablespoon at a time. Don't get crazy with the flour.
Yeah, don't overdo it.
So I just lightly floured my work surface, and I put a little bit of flour on my hands, and now I'm just kneading it. I kneaded it for a few minutes because I kneaded it just a little bit with the hand mixer, the dough hooks with the hand mixer. So I'm just kneading it. If you don't have a hand mixer or a stand mixer, you of course can use a whisk or a spoon, whatever you would like to use. You just have to knead your dough for longer. Make sure your dough is kneaded and it's formed into a ball like I have here.
Make sure you knead it. That's important.
Yes. So now I'm taking some olive oil spray, the same spray I mentioned in the last video, and spraying my bowl. And you want to make sure your dough is coated in that oil when you put it in your bowl. So I'm just working the dough around in the bowl, getting it covered. If you put enough, you won't have to put any more on top. But sometimes if you don't put enough, then you'll have to, pour a little bit more on top. So now I'm covering it with some press and seal, which I think is 20 million times better than cling wrap, Saran wrap, whatever you want to call it.
Or you can also use a clean towel.
So we put that back on our stove, same process. Back on the stove, and I think we let it rise for an hour or so. So now I'm making the filling for the rolls.
Now I'm sorry, I just want to tell them that we said we put it on the stove, but it's not. The stove is not on. We did find that you use residual heat would be good. If you have the stove on for a while, just turn it off, and then you can place the rolls on the stove top, and they rise really good. The dough rise as well. So
so like I said, I'm making the filling. So it's just sugar, lemon zest, a little bit of lemon juice. I think I used the juice from one medium-sized lemon, and a little bit of flour as well, and butter. So now our dough has risen, and we're flouring our surface again, and we're just going to roll it out to a giant rectangle is the kind of shape you want. We ended up trimming a little bit of the sides so we could have more of a perfect rectangle, but we reused that dough. We rolled it out and put more filling in it, and we were able to still use it, so it didn't go to waste.
And that's another good thing too about this recipe is another one that you can actually freeze half of it and use it later, or just roll them all out. And you can control the amount of rolls that you have, because this batch made you can make up to 24, depending on the size that you cut them. So we made 20. I think we ended up with 21, because we're going to be taking these to a family function. So we didn't freeze the other half of this batch this time.
So as you can see, our edges are kind of straight. So that's what I was referring to earlier, that we cut it a little bit. Now, just spreading that filling out. If you want to, you could use less flour than we used for a more spreadable filling, but this worked out just fine. I know if I made the mistake of just comparing these to cinnamon rolls all the time. So
And you can't.
right, because they're different, and you're going to be putting fruit in them. So
And this is so good. You can see the lemon zest
yes,
in this. It makes such a difference. And when you're spreading that, you want to make sure you go all the way to the edges, so you can have filling in all of your rolls.
yes.
So,
And with these blueberries, you can use wild blueberries, which are just, they look like mini blueberries.
right. They're so cute.
They're so good. I put them in my oatmeal sometimes. We had a frozen bag, and I just snacked on them pretty much the whole week. But if you use regular blueberries, I would use more.
We're actually going to add more. Yeah. And you can see there we did add a few more to bring them to the edge. So,
yes. So
it worked out fine.
Rolled that sort of like a pro or whatever.
I wouldn't say that. Thank you.
And so she just pinched the dough, closed at the little lip it made. And she's trimming off the parts that are on the end so we can have clean cuts. Now, okay. This, my favorite tool in the world.
So she's trying to use that tool all the time. I'm like, okay, see, maybe we shouldn't use it for this part.
In theory, it works for cinnamon rolls. It works
Yeah.
perfectly fine for cinnamon rolls, but because we have these blueberries in them, when we cut them, it just kind of pushes them out. So we switched to a serrated knife.
Which worked fine. And this is where I was saying if you're making them, you can cut them larger or smaller, however you want to cut them. And that will be, you can make them wider, or you can even make your dough, just stuff it more.
Yeah.
So
I like taller rolls, but these, it depends on how long you rise them as well.
right. And we didn't rise these. You can let them rise longer than we did. And that's another thing if you want to make them, let them rise so they're more puffy. So, but we found that an hour was great. It worked out. It was just enough time for what we were looking for.
Yeah.
So, but if you're making cinnamon rolls, I would think you would definitely want those to be bigger.
Yes. And those are like, you can't go around cutting those thick. They have to be tall,
Generally speaking, they're usually tall. So here we have
the glaze. Yeah, so that was cream cheese, that's melted butter, and powdered sugar, a little bit of salt, and lemon juice. This is like amazing.
this glaze is like lemon gold. It's delicious. I've never tasted glaze this good that we made ourselves. I think this is the best one that we've ever made.
Yeah.
I'd say.
So as you can see, I'm switching between the spatula and the whisk, trying to get the lumps out. You can use the hand mixer. I just was like, I'm gonna thug it out and use the whisk today. So I tried to get most of the lumps out, but the powdered sugar helps with that as well. They kind of loosen things up. So I only have a little bit of lemon juice in this bowl, but I ended up using more. I used the juice from about 1 lemon again for this one.
And that's another thing here. You can adjust it if you want to. If you really want more lemon flavor, you can add more or less. This is great.
Yeah.
And then the filling gives the rolls that lemon flavor on the inside. And this is like just to top it off with more lemon flavor. And then you get the blueberries. It's a really nice mix.
The blueberries look so pretty after you take them out the oven. They're like purple. It should have been called purple berries.
You'll see. Yes. Very nice. I love this recipe too.
So yeah, I'm just mixing this together, just trying to get to a consistency that we like. You can use, more or less like we mentioned, if you want it to be like spreadable. I know some people like to spread their glaze, icing, whatever you want to put on top of your rolls.
Make it more like a, like you said, like icing, as opposed to more loose.
Yeah. So just use less lemon juice if you want to do that. So right here I'm putting the glaze into a squeeze bottle. That'll help us distribute it better. So you can skip this step and just scoop it up with a spoon and drizzle it, or however you want to. We just wanted to do it because why not? We have one of these cool bottles.
And you'll see it worked really good for the drizzling. It worked out. It's very neat. It comes out just the way you want it. So it worked out good.
A top is very small. So these have been cooking for maybe 22 minutes when I took this shot, and we left them in for about 5 more minutes after that.
And there they are.
They look so good.
Yep, and they're ready to come out now. So we just wanted to show you guys what they would look like in the oven if you're going to make this recipe. And yeah, so we took them out and they came out really good.
They're so pretty.
They are.
So this is that glaze. We're able to drizzle it because we have full control over it, you know, with the bottle. So I would recommend putting it in the bottle, but you don't have to. Like I said,
Right. You don't have to use a spoon as well. Just get enough in there. Yep, that was just so easy to do. So easy. And so moist. It's just a great recipe.
So
I know I mentioned that before.
What else can you say though? It's just great. It's great on its own.
How moist that was. It's just great.
The blueberries, I think, are my favorite part. It's either the blueberries or the lemon glaze. I don't know.
That lemon flavor is just like, it's great. This is great together, I think.
Yeah. If you guys enjoy this video, let us know in the comments. Let us know what other sweet roll flavors you can make.
Right. I would like to try strawberry or cherry.
Strawberry sounds really good. Alright, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and click on the notification bell so you'll know when we post next. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Have a good one.